Hey, it's Mr. Bass. Thanks very much for watching my videos and tuning into this one today. I don't know if you have ever watched the television program called Alone. It is a great show. And if you don't know the premise of the show, there is 10 competitors that are dropped off into the wilderness. They can only take 10 things with them to survive. And then they just survive on their own. They have to kill their own food, harvest their own food, build their own shelter, keep themselves warm, yada, yada, yada. And they have to film themselves the whole time. And they can't have any books or reading material, no outside communication, nothing to occupy their mind. And they're alone. They are totally 100% alone. And the psychology behind that show is just fascinating, and I highly recommend it. But one of the things that they do, usually when they're surviving, they have, they've got to feed themselves. And so they boil it down to hunting, trapping, which is another form of hunting, and fishing. That's pretty much it. Well, and also scavenging for wild onions or plants that they can eat, mushrooms, that kind of thing. Well, the wild plant thing never keeps anybody alive for very long. And the hunting is very challenging. And it seems like in the later seasons, more and more people were going to bow and arrows for hunting. And that seemed to be a little more effective. But I am blown away with how many people try to fish. Almost all of them do. And they're very, very few of them are successful. And I just think to myself, how in the world can they not catch literally any fish at all? Now, I understand conditions. I understand that they might get dropped off in a spot. They don't get to pick the spot that they're dropped off in. Sometimes the isolated spot that they're in may not have access to fish or whatever. But if you watch them as they fish, it's just almost comical most of the time. And so many times they don't fish long enough. They don't put enough time and effort into the fishing. And I think I've boiled this down to, well, maybe it's because they're so weak and tired from hunger that it's just exhausting to just continually cast and cast and cast and cast. But and a lot of times they don't move. They'll just cast from one location and then give up. And then, of course, their fishing apparatuses are very primitive usually because they can't afford, a rod, a reel, a bunch of line, a bunch of fishing tackle because they're only allowed to take 10 things total. So it got me to thinking, like, what kind of a fishing kit could I purchase for survival situations? And would it be any good? If I were on alone, could I take something like this survival fishing kit out in the woods, out in the wilderness, and survive on it? And the answer to that is I have no idea. I bought this on Amazon. You can purchase it for, I don't know how much, but I'll put the price here on the screen. And you can see it's taped up. I've never opened it. It comes in the mail just like this. I thought I would crack this open, share with you what's in the kit, and then I'd love to see in the comments what you think is missing, how adequate you think this would be to use in a survival situation. Is this enough stuff to keep you alive by fishing for your sole source of food? So with that being said, let's take a look, open it up, and see what's inside. So here's the kit. The standard survival fishing kit offers the necessary items for sustained survival fishing to include a durable metal holder, survival fishing tips, fishing lures, salmon eggs, flies, a bobber, fishing spoon, treble hooks, assorted regular hooks, wire wound leaders, assorted weights, 12 and 30-pound test fishing lines, a ready line, which is a line, weight, hook, bobber, fishing survival kit stickers, a military issue compact razor knife, and a desiccant. Wow, that's a lot of stuff for this kit. The standard survival fishing kit is designed for extended use in a survival situation when it becomes necessary to catch fish as survival food or bait. This kit is currently in use by numerous government agencies, rescue and aid organizations, and others. The Emergency Survival Fishing Kit is an exceptionally well-stocked, durable, quality, and inexpensive survival fishing kit. Okay. Let's see what's in there. This is electrical tape. And I would say in a survival situation, I'm not a survival expert at all. But from what I've seen from watching survival shows and YouTube videos, you would save this electrical tape. This has uses, that you could, in the wild, for survival, you would want to save this piece of tape. And it's a pretty long piece of tape. Once you take it off, it's over 1 foot long. Look at that. Here we go. All right, nothing in the lid, but there is a gasket in the lid. So I guess this box is supposed to be somewhat waterproof. I like that. Here's your survival fishing kit manual and tips. Interesting. Do the basics first. Your primary concerns are hydration, staying warm and dry, meeting your immediate medical needs. This kit is not designed to be a full survival kit. Fishing types, fish around cover such as logs, rocks, grass, or shaded area. Points and ledges can be productive where fish have easy access from deep to shallow water. When fishing rivers and streams, concentrate your efforts on deep, still pools and spots where there is a break in the current. Fish will often hold just outside the current. That's pretty good stuff, really. And then it tells you about the different fishing lines, the hooks, weights, and leaders, jigs and spoons, how to fish these and what to do with them. And then look, they give you some basic fishing knots. Wow. Little, short, sweet, compact guide, but it looks like some good info, quite frankly. Look at all this. It's pretty cool. All right, first we've got some fishing line here. This feels like the 30-pound test line. I'm guessing this is probably monofilament. Seems like that's the kind of line they usually throw in this kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with mono, I would say, especially if you're just working on survival. And then here's the smaller line diameter, the 12-pound test. And I like the way they've done this. They put it on this little plastic board. You can reel it off and reel it back on. And that's a really good idea, actually. All right, here is a small bobber. I don't know if you really need a bobber for survival situations, but it's probably not a bad idea to have one. Look at this. They put all these in individual sealed plastic. I'm not sure why they do that. Little grub. And it's already hooked, pre-hooked. The good thing, too, is, if you're out in survival and you got these little jig heads and hooks, if your bait tears up or it gets lost, you can just catch a cricket or little tadpole or whatever and put it on there and go to town. Here's a fly. I'm not much of a fly fisherman. And with monofilament, casting a fly might be a challenge. You're probably going to have to, get this out and let it drift. I mean, that's what you do anyway. Drift on top of the water. Here's another fly. Pretty cool. They also give you a knife. And this is a razor blade knife. You could use that, for all kinds of things, but more importantly, to clean your fish, if it's all you had. So that, I think, is a great addition to the kit. We're talking survival here. All right, then there was a bag that was in the kit. I removed it just so I could see the other stuff. And this has, hooks, swivels, weights. It's got your spoon. So let's open it up and take a look at some of the stuff in detail. This idea of putting stuff in Ziploc bags is probably really smart. You wouldn't want it just loose all in the kit. That would just be nuts. Okay, so here's your little spoon. It's a decent sized little spoon. Definitely would catch you bass, pike, walleye, a lot of different fish would hit that spoon, trout. So I think that's an excellent lure to include in a fishing kit, survival fishing kit. How about this? They actually give you some leaders, some wire leaders to, protect your baits from those toothy fish that could bite your hook off or your bait off and be gone forever. This is not overkill. I think it's very smart when you're talking about survival. Is I can't lose that hook. You lose your hooks, you're screwed. Couple of spare treble hooks. Okay, various sizes of split shot. These are lead sinkers that you squeeze on the line. In some ways, I think I'd like to see more than this. There's only like 4 larger size ones and 5 smaller size. I think that's probably not enough. Then they have 12 hooks of different sizes. Here's your largest size, middle size, and then they give you 6 of the smaller size. 12 hooks, not bad, and they feel like very good, solid. These are not cheap, flimsy, super light wire hooks. These are pretty stout. I think it would, especially when you're fishing by hand or around a little piece of twig or something with your line attached to it, you're not going to bend these hooks out, especially not this bigger one. Smaller ones maybe, but when you're catching trout or panfish, it would be no big deal. So 12 hooks. And then a kind of an interesting thing is they give you these fishing tips as a sticker. So you could stick this sticker somewhere, I guess, so that you don't lose it in case you feel very uncomfortable about how to fish. This is a very interesting little fishing tips deal. I actually like some of the tips in here really well, although some of this is just common sense, like worms, grubs, and crickets make great bait. Number 3, dig in the ground for worms and check for large rooting logs for insects. But a jig and spoons can be fished different ways, and if you don't know how to retrieve it, that's number 6. So the way that they tell you how to fish it is good. But number 7, I think, is really important, and I think it's something that I have noticed the guys on Alone, even though they're considered survival experts, don't do enough. If you get a bite, remember the speed and depth and try to duplicate it. And if you do not get a bite after a short period of time, try something different. A change in lure speed can make a huge difference. And that is critical. And I'm just amazed at, you just don't see them trying different things. So here it is in all its glory, the survival fishing kit. And I really think it's pretty fascinating to look at everything they included. I feel like in most scenarios, I could catch fish with this kit and survive for a while on it. I'd really be interested to hear your take on it. What do you think of the kit, and what do you think is missing? What do you think should be added to this kit? So that wraps up the survival fishing kit in a tin, the standard version. What did you think of it? I'm actually very pleasantly surprised at how good this kit is. I really think it's, you can't have everything when you're talking about something that fits in the palm of your hand. But I really think they thought of a lot of things. Maybe the only thing I would say is put more fishing line in, just because once your fishing line's gone, you're screwed. But I really, really like it, and I'd love to hear your comments. What do you think of this? What would you put in the kit? What were they missing? What were the survival experts missing? If you really needed it to survive and stay alive, what should you put in there? Can't fit a handgun in there, by the way. All right. Thanks for watching. This is Mr. Bass. I really appreciate the support. Please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends. I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, this is Mr. Bass. Happy fishing!